How's it going, guys? Paul from Alpha Wrestling Reviews here, and I'm here with no one. Yep, I am on my Jack Jones today, guys. Long story short, the reason this is a day late is because we'd already recorded this once, and for some reason the footage was corrupted. Go figure. So basically, I'm having to do the Smackdown review yet again. Don't mind, it was a good show. Well, we'll go into detail in a minute, but it was a good show. And since NxT happened, I did wake up very early, hence why I have bags under my eyes. I did wake up very early, so to watch NxT as well. I'm going to throw that in as well as the Smackdown review. So I also have my notes here, so if I keep looking down, it's because I'm trying to read them so I don't miss anything. So starting off, we have the New Day. We have the New Day segment. It was the Kofi's championship celebration. My God, this was great. So the match. My God, this is early in the morning. So basically, the segment started. They had like a rainbow of balloons. They had pancakes in each corner. It was hilarious. It was ridiculous. Kofi's wife and kids were in the crowd. It was pretty nice. All the crowd were chanting, basically, "You deserve it" to Kofi. They were chanting "A+ player." It was quite nice to see. It did make me smile. It was a good segment. You also in there had Big E started doing the splits again because the crowd asked him to. I don't know how that man does that. I can't even get halfway down without the thought of squishing the balls. So yeah, but he also praises Becky Lynch as well in the promo. It was quite good, and then makes a very weird comment about butt stuff. Yep, I digress on that one. But they all start chanting for Kofi's wife as well. His wife is in the crowd. Her name apparently is Chi Chi. I didn't know that. And we get a giant Chi Chi chant. Okay. Whatever, floats your boat. But then, if it weren't bad enough that they'd already ruined the main event for the night before, who turn up next? The Bar. Why are they in the tag? They're the tag team. Why are they in the championship sort of segments, like the world championship segments? But anyway, they come out, they start running their mouth. The crowd boo heavily, and I mean heavily. And then, you're going to have to excuse the dog barking in the background. It doesn't seem to like another one. Shut up. Then, they basically say that they did not come alone. And boy, did they not. They brought a big name out, and that name was the Scottish Terminator, Drew McIntyre. His bagpipe music hits, drums. I love that theme song. Absolutely brilliant. But yeah, McIntyre comes out, and the segment for the end of the night is announced that it will be the entire collection of the New Day versus the Bar and Drew McIntyre. And basically, that was all that segment was. Wasn't really much else to talk about. Like I say, it was a nice sort of feel-good segment. But all it was basically to set up the main event for the night. Kofi got his praise, well deserved again. I did get that prediction wrong in the Wrestlemania review. But I didn't care. I was quite happy about it. So yeah, anyway, next we have Black, Ricochet and Ali versus Rusev, Nakamura and Andrade. No longer seeing Almas. I was quite sad because you had Black's entrance, but then Ricochet's one and only, which I like to say alongside the theme song, was during the commercial break. And by God, we said this on Monday Night Raw, the amount of commercial breaks, if you're watching this in the UK on Sky Sports, or I don't know what it's like on USA Today, but adverts galore. But yeah, so I'm just trying to pick out spots in the match. There was a nice little triple sit spot. Black's sit down cross-legged. All three of them, Ricochet and Ali, all sat down together. It was quite a nice spot. I had a big wee for, but yeah, that was quite nice. But basically, the ending segment of the match was while they're on the outside, Ricochet does a moonsault to Rusev on the outside, and then as Ricochet is getting up, he gets a Kinshasa in the back of the head. Nakamura then gets up on the apron, Black Mass to him. You then get Zelina Vega try and distract Aleister Black, even though they're husband and wife in real life. Andrade goes for a quick schoolboy cover, but Black kicks out. God, it's so early in the morning, guys. Black manages to get a tag to Ali, and then Ali managed to hit his reverse runner on Andrade, and instead of hitting the 054, he just hits a standard 450. I mean, it's not standard. It's not like you're going to see the Big Show doing it, but he hits a standard 450, and Ali gets the pinfall. So Black, Ricochet, and Ali win the match. As they're celebrating, they're all standing there, they're all doing their thing, all their poses, they're all getting their nice cheer off the crowd, and then from out of nowhere, Randy Orton comes out and he hits an RKO on Ali. I've got a feeling this is probably setting up Money in the Bank. But a good little thing that you might not have seen was as Randy Orton was leaving, he sort of done the to the light on the stage. For those of you that don't know, Randy Orton AJ Styles match at WrestleMania, there was a lot of complaints from the crowd because there was a big spotlight from anyone that was watching sort of from the part where the ramp is there, sort of in front of you. They had a big spotlight that was basically blocking their vision. Excuse me. I know both Orton and Styles were not happy on that one. And also, just a little side note, guys, we said that AJ Styles got injured in the match with Randy Orton. Apparently, it was from the spot where he hit Orton with a phenomenal forearm while on the outside. He came down funny on his hip. He got pulled from the Access show just after WrestleMania. I'm not too sure what his recovery time is. I've got a feeling it shouldn't be too long, but nothing has been confirmed yet. But apparently, yeah, it is a hip injury. So Randy Orton hits his RKO on Ali. We're thinking, oh, you sneaky little viper. And then, oh no, you sneaky little cage fighter, or prize fighter, I should say, sorry. Because as Rusev turns around, he gets stunned from Kevin Owens. This is just sort of confirming more that I think this is all to do with who's going in Money in the Bank. I think it'll probably be Kevin Owens, Randy Orton, Ali, you'll see Andrade. There'll be quite a few. I still think there'll only be one, as in one men's, one women's. I think that's how it should be. Otherwise, oh my God, what is wrong with my voice? Otherwise, you'll sort of be overloading the match. Sometimes too much of a good thing isn't a good thing. So yeah, so that was the end of that match. Next, we had a very good backstage promo from the Usos on the Hardys, who they will be facing later on in the evening for the Smackdown Tag Team Championships. I'm not going to get much into it, but this was a very, very good promo. It got me hyped. It got me interested. Well, we'll have to see. Then, something that I noticed on my TV. Went to an ad break. We come back from the ad break, and you just had the Smackdown title screen showing for about 5 minutes. So I don't know whether someone had messed up there. I don't know if that was just my screen that I saw that on, but yeah, I got a feeling someone messed up something there. It was quite interesting. I literally was sitting there for nearly 5 minutes waiting, just watching this Smackdown logo fly around. Frustrating. But yeah, so that was that. Next we had the Truth and Carmella segment, and Carmella's promo was irritating. She basically said, "Oh, this time a year ago she beat Charlotte when she cashed in her Money in the Bank briefcase." Yeah, it was a year ago. What have we done since then? Yeah, she won the Battle Royal, but again, as you saw with Naomi, it means absolutely sweet sod all. The crowd actually started to boo her, because that's how boring this segment was. And I actually put in my comments here when I was watching the Smackdown show, please no dance break. I'm sorry, I don't like the dance break. The good thing was R-Truth made a funny, because he's absolutely crazy, R-Truth made a very funny comment. He said, "Oh, Carmella, you beat everyone in the Andre the Giant Memorial Royal Rumble." What? But yeah, that was pretty good. And then Joe come out to save me, basically. He come down, and again, I've got in my comments, someone's about to get effed up. It was Truth. Yeah. Joe come down. He basically got into a bit of a back and forth with Truth. Truth did fight back for a little bit, but Joe basically ended him. He got him in the Kikina clutch, choked him out. It's pretty good. And then Joe gets on the mic. He makes a very sharp promo. He basically says, there's no one out there that can beat me, along the lines of that. And then we just get Braun. That was an awful, awful thing. I mean, my copy to it, not the actual promo. Basically, Braun Strowman's music hits. I'm just going to skip past that because that was absolute babble. Braun Strowman's music hits. He comes down and they get into a nice little brawl. And then he tries to get him up for the power slam. Strowman trying to get Joe up for the power slam. And Joe manages to power out, roll out, and run with his tail between his legs. Now, this was a good segment, but I have a gripe with it. If it's Samoa Joe versus Braun Strowman coming next, also it telegraphs that Strowman's more likely to be going to Smackdown in the shake-up next week. See, I don't know how I feel about this, because you're either knocking Joe's momentum off by having him lose the United States Championship, or you're having Strowman's momentum knocked off by Joe beating him. I said this the other day, you need longevity in title runs, and I think Samoa Joe needs to be booked as this badass. I know Strowman needs to be booked well, but I just think you could have him somewhere else at the moment. I don't agree with having him versus Samoa Joe. Because I've got a feeling Joe will end up losing the belt to Strowman, and you'll have Strowman as United States Champion. Whether that means that my prediction was right, where Strowman will win the championship and he'll take it over to Raw, therefore the IC title comes over to SmackDown, I wouldn't mind that, because maybe you can have Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, people like that going for the IC title. I still think the IC title needs to be on SmackDown, basically. And what I said about Bobby Lashley the other day, I think that needs to happen as well. Him come over to SmackDown. There are too many big men on Raw. I've got a feeling Lars Sullivan will be another one. Oh, we'll get to Lars Sullivan in a minute. But I've got a feeling Lars Sullivan will be another one that will that'll end up staying on Raw. I don't want him on SmackDown. I just don't want Lars Sullivan on the main roster. I know a few people like him, but I am not one. But anyway, his segment's later on, so I'm not going to stick on that part too much. But yeah, it was a great little segment. But again, my gripe is you can sort of see what's coming forward, and I've got a feeling that Samoa Joe's going to end up losing the United States Championship to Braun Strowman. But yeah, next up we have the Iconic segment. It was an absolute awful promo. I actually put in my notes, the moment they come out, I put shiitake mushroom. You know what I really mean. Promo to follow. But before they could get on the mic, we had another ad break. As we come back from the ad break, we had this very, very weird-ass dinosaur coming out the box promo like we did on Monday Night Raw. But this time, he was wearing a Hawaiian shirt. Now, I didn't actually notice this when we recorded the Smackdown live footage earlier on. It was actually Sean and Ben that pointed this out to me. He was wearing a Hawaiian top. But since Sean mentioned on the Monday Night Raw segment that it sounded like Braun Strowman's voice... Bray Wyatt's voice, I sat there and I actually listened closely. It does sound like Bray Wyatt's voice. I've got a feeling that it is Bray Wyatt. It's almost certain, especially with the Hawaiian shirt. It near enough telegraphs it. So we're going to have to see what sort of character he's going to come back as. For those of you that don't know, he has had his hair cut. He looks a bit like Strowman now. He sort of had the sides done. He's just got a long ponytail sort of going straight down the middle. It'd be interesting to see. I mean, at least he can do that with his hair. I can't. Jealous. Absolutely jealous. But again, so I was right. Basically, the promo that they cut after the break was finished was just dire. But yeah, they said that they're going to defend the belts because they are fighting tag teams. So who do they defend them against? Could be a big established name. Oh, Lita and Trish could be back. No. It was the Brooklyn Bells of Carissa and Christian. I think that was who they were. An undefeated team who have got a streak of 45-0. Yeah, they dominated them. I think one of the one of the two between Carissa and Christian got one punch in on them, but the Iconics used their tag team finisher where they basically hold him up in like a wheelbarrow position, and Peyton Royce comes in with a running knee while the other one is suspending the opponent. And they got the pinfall. Shocker. But the good thing about this was, during the match, you saw a backstage cut where Paige was standing there watching the match. And after the match, Paige cut a promo basically saying that she'll be bringing a tag team of her own next week to basically challenge the Iconics. Doesn't state it's for the championships, just says that she's going to be bringing a tag team to challenge them. Personally, I think Sean and Ben both agree with me. I think it's probably going to be the Sky Pirates of Io Shirai and Kairi Sane. That will be a good match. And I think that's a good thing, having Paige. She's a very good... she cuts a very good promo, Paige. And the Sky Pirates, neither of them, they're both from Japan. Their English isn't great. I think that'd be a perfect thing to have Paige as their mouthpiece coming up to the main roster. So it'd be interesting to see. I'm hoping it's the Sky Pirates and not something that's going to let me down. But it's WWE, so I shan't hold my breath. Next up we have, after that, we have the Shane McMahon segment. Now, I was laughing during this, but when you look at it overall, it's a bit pointless. One thing I will say that I found very good was Shane McMahon came out selling his injuries. He didn't walk down money. I mean, the music was still playing, but he was selling his injuries, which was pretty good. He also was sporting a nice little black eye. And it turns out that the story that he's going with is that it was George Mizanin, who I don't remember getting a single strike off on Miz. But it was George Mizanin apparently that gave him the black eye. Okay. He also says that Miz is not there tonight. He is tending to his poorly father, who got taken out by Shane. Shane basically gloats about that. He also has the Saudi trophy there because Shane is the best in the world. But yeah, so next we have Mr. Miz chants, Miz Senior. And then when he basically says about the black eye, there's chants erupt of "you deserve it." Suck on that, Shane. He calls Shane's dad 68-year-old baked potato in the sun. I'll just put in my comments, "Oh, Shane, you crack me up." Yeah, he calls in Greg Hamilton again. Poor Greg. Oh, I bet he's regretting signing for the WWE now. He asks him to basically announce Shane about 4 or 5 times. Says every time, "No, that's not as good as WrestleMania." So poor Greg, who's going to be having comments with HR after this, gets his tie grabbed by Shane, and Shane literally, like a dog, leads him all the way down to the entrance ramp and gets him to say it again. And wow, has Greg got some lungs on him? Whew. But when Shane asked him, "Well, why aren't you saying it with conviction like you did at WrestleMania?" Greg turns around and says, "No, not the WWE Universe." He says WWE fans threatened him. Basically, if he says that Shane is the best in the world again. Shut up, Greg. Family Guy reference. I just don't know what to make of it, because once he finally announces him on the entrance ramp and he gets a good little vocal spot for Shane, announces him the best way he can, that was it. That literally was it. Shane's music hits, he goes to the back again, and I literally put at the end of this, well, that was pointless. Absolutely pointless. Okay. Time waster. Absolute time waster. One thing I will point out, a little bit of a fact moment here, that the Falls Count Anywhere match between Shane McMahon and The Miz was the first time that they'd had a Falls Count Anywhere match in 25 years at WrestleMania. The last one being Randy Savage's final match for WWE at WrestleMania 10, where he beat Adam Bomb. Yep, so now that little fact segment is over, I'm going to go on to next, which was basically just a little recap segment of the Elias Taker segment from Monday Night Raw. That was brilliant. If you look at a post from Undertaker that he put up on Twitter, he's basically said he feels like he's got some more miles left in the tank. I know Sean isn't really a huge fan of Taker anymore, Well, not that he's not a huge fan. I just think he's done with the Taker thing now. I mean, if Taker's fit, which he looks in incredible shape, but if his hip holds up and things like that, and he's better than he was at Saudi because he needs to be better than he was at Saudi, I'm all for it, providing it's limited. Overexposure, I think, would be the thing that ruins him. I'm hoping he doesn't destroy his legacy by being around too much, but we'll have to wait and see. We're not too sure, but the rumoured match now is that, again, it's a bit lacklustre, but the rumoured match now is it will be Undertaker versus Elias at the next Saudi show on June 7th. Okay. We'll have to wait and see where that one goes. We don't know how they're going to book that one. We don't know how they're going to bring that one forward, how they're going to add interest to it, because the Saudi shows are basically just giant house shows, so Undertaker will win. Early prediction there. Yeah, I digress. So next up, we had match of the night, and one thing that we're going to do is after Raw and Smackdown, we're going to announce between the two shows what we thought was match of the week. And all of us were in agreement when we recorded this earlier that this was match of the week. The Hardys versus the Usos. Great match, great match. It was for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. Yeah. Wow. So I'll only run down sort of the end of the match. There was a botch spot in this, which I found a little bit weird. They went to do the Usos went to do sort of like a double team finish, and one had the other one. One had, I think it was Matt Hardy, up for like a Samoan drop, and the other one sort of run round to try and say something. You can see there was muttering something, but nothing was coming of it. And in the end, I can't remember which Uso it was that had Matt up on his shoulders, just dropped him for a Samoan drop. But they were definitely trying to go for a tag team spot there. But yeah, Jimmy misses a whisper in the wind. For those of you that can't tell the difference between Jimmy and Jay, Jimmy's the one with a complete blacked out tattoo. The one that you want to look for is the red lining in the tattoo, and that is Jay. But yeah, so Jimmy goes for a whisper in the wind on Jeff. He misses. Jeff then goes and hits one himself, showing him how it's done. We then get basically later on in the match, we get a super kick and splash combination to Jeff, but Jeff kicks out, which I was quite surprised at. They then go for a double splash. You've got sort of, if you're looking from the card camera, you've got the top right corner and the bottom left corner. Jeff is laid down in the middle. Matt comes over to one of the Usos in the bottom left hand corner. He distracts him long enough for Jeff to sort of make a recovery. The Uso then knocks off Matt off the apron basically, and they go for their double splash. But Jeff, again, because he's had time to recover, moves out the way, and they both crash and burn. We then get one of the Hardys throw one of the Usos out of the way, and long story short, we get a twist of fate and swanton combination, and they pin the heart of the... Oh, God, I cannot talk this morning. They pin the Usos. 1, 2, 3. Your new SmackDown Tag Team Champions. 8-time Tag Team Champions. The Hardys. I did not see this one coming. But I also think that this confirms near enough that the Usos will be going to Raw when the shake-up hits next week. I think that was probably the only reason why they dropped them to the Hardys. I think the Usos do need to go over to Raw. I think the other two guys said the same thing as well. I think the Raw tag team division needs to sort of be amped up a bit. The Usos are one of the, if not the best tag team in WWE at the moment. So I agree with it. I think it should be interesting. But yeah, so again, we'll have to wait and see till next week how that one sort of transpires. No qualms at the moment. No qualms. The Hardys are the tag champs. I don't think it'll be a long run. It'll probably be like a month or 2 months. But yeah, should be good. Personally, I'd like them to hold it for a little while. Maybe drop it at SummerSlam. Again, this goes all the way back to my gripe with WWE about longevity of title runs, and I think they're already going to bury Samoa Joe with this Braun Strowman thing. I mean, I may be talking a bit too soon. It might not happen, but I think you need to have a bit of longevity in title runs again. So I'm hoping that the Hardys hold it for just a little while. But this is where we talk about Lars Sullivan. So his music hits while the Hardys are celebrating. He comes out. He lays them both out. He hits his, I can't remember what the finisher's called. That high angle slam that he uses as a finisher. He hits both Hardys with that. He then goes up to the top and hits Matt Hardy with a diving headbutt. I'm not invested in this guy. I know a lot of people might disagree with me, but I'm just not invested in this guy. The moment I hear him or see him come out, I just think, oh, come on. And also, great way to bury your new tag team champions, WWE. Spot on there. But yeah, I mean, I said my gripes with Lars Sullivan on the Raw preview show. Please go and watch that. And also drop a like and subscribe. Yeah, so I won't get into it too much, but I'm not liking Lars Sullivan at the moment. If WWE want me to be invested in this guy, don't have him bury a legend. Don't have him bury your tag team. Have him go against a big competitor. Why couldn't you get Lars Sullivan versus Braun Strowman? Have that match. That might get me invested. Give me a reason to care, because right now I don't. Right now, I just want to have a nice little nap or go and make a cup of tea. Yes, we're British, stereotypical, we like tea. I love tea. I don't have crumpets though, just FYI. Or scones. Scones. So, yeah, that was the end of that segment. I'm not going to linger on that one too much more. Next we have Becky Lynch come out. There are untold signs of the man throughout the crowd. Absolutely brilliant. Also earlier on with the Kofi segment, there were Kofi Mania signs. I think WWE are just giving them out. It's pretty obvious, to be honest. But yeah, they filled the arena like a sea. They basically done a Mania main event recap. The crowd just stands there and carries on singing Becky Lynch's song, and then has a nice little Becky chant, followed by a Becky two belts chant. I don't like that. I'm hoping they drop the two belts thing and just have one, but I've got a feeling at the moment they're not going to unify the belts. Unless some sort of storyline comes in the coming weeks. I mean, I know we're only sort of 2 days off of WrestleMania, but she's still got both belts, and with no looking future of unifying them. So she keeps saying how she wants to defend both belts. Again, we'll have to see. I might be just talking a bit ahead of myself here. It might change all in the coming weeks, because again, there wasn't really, other than Shane McMahon, an authority figure on this show. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But this promo, I love Becky. I said the same thing on Raw. I love Becky. I think the right woman won at WrestleMania. It had to be Becky, or I think there would have been riots. It was a copy and paste. It was a copy and paste. Ironically, almost to the word, it was a copy and paste of the Raw promo that she cut last night, or the night before, sorry. Yeah. So she says the same shtick. She then leaves the ring, walks up the ramp, and she turns around, waves to the crowd, and I thought Lacey Evans is going to be behind her. Sure enough, she turns around and Lacey Evans clocks it. Now, I don't like the women's rights because, again, like I said before, I don't like just normal striking moves being finishers. But she clocks Becky Lynch, and it looked like a great shot. Better than her attempt at Raw. And, Becky Lynch basically falls to the ground. She sort of recovers, and Lacey Evans stands there and does the little walk back. Goes inside. And, yeah, it looks like we're going to have Lacey Evans versus Becky Lynch. I would not be surprised. I'm hoping they don't, because I'm hoping that Lynch holds on to the championship until next year's Mania, basically. I've got a feeling with the Ronda Rousey news that she might. The news is that... also, just on a side note, and this does sort of go into what I was just about to say. Vince McMahon apparently fined the referee for that main event match. He also fined the referee who was refereeing the Smackdown tag title match at WrestleMania. Apparently there's no backstage heat on either of them, but he's just sort of trying to set a precedent and set a standard for the referees. So obviously the referee did botch something. But I think what they said was they're going forward with this Becky Lynch thing, and they're going to try and make that the storyline for next year's WrestleMania. So it should be interesting. Rousey versus Lynch again, so I'm hoping Lynch does hold on to the championship for a while. With that being said, the next feud going forward again looks like it's probably Evans versus Lynch. I'm hoping it's not the sort of case where Evans wins one of the belts and then you have her go forward, maybe the Smackdown Women's Championship. I'm hoping that if Lynch goes to face Evans, she puts both belts on the line. Becky 2 belts. So it should be Becky defend both belts. Just saying. But yeah, that was basically the whole segment though. Not much really happened. It was a bit of a meh segment. Again, with the Lacey Evans thing coming out, the way that Lynch was standing facing the crowd, it was pretty predictable as well. Not a great segment. It was an okay segment. Good for the crowd, but yeah, I digress. So next up we had the New Day versus The Bar and McIntyre. All members of the match were out in the ring, but before the bell hit, we had Sami Zayn's music hit. He comes out, he does his weird little sort of sarcastic dancing now. He grabs the microphone. No, you guys aren't worth it. Drops the microphone, walks out. What the hell was the point of that? None is the answer to that one. I hope he's in the Money in the Bank match. Sami Zayn's very underutilised. And we might get a little spot of Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn again. So, fingers crossed, fingers crossed. But yeah, that was that. The match started. There wasn't really much to say. There was a reverse Alabama slam on the announce table from McIntyre to Woods. But for those of you that may not have realised, McIntyre just disappeared after this match. Now, the rumour was that he actually jumped the barrier and went round the back of the crowd to the back. He was waving sort of to try and get the back's attention. I don't know whether that was an injury. I can't remember if it was Sean or Ben. One of them had the prediction that he might have had a bit of a toilet accident. It happens. But yeah, something happened because he just disappeared. I actually said in my notes when I was watching the whole match, where was McIntyre? The end of the match, McIntyre was nowhere to be seen. I'm hoping it's not an injury. And also, just a little side note, I'm hoping McIntyre doesn't go to Smackdown. I'm hoping he stays on Raw. And I know there's quite a few people online that think the exact same thing as me. But yeah, so also, I just want to say a little side note. I hope that I see Big E versus Cesaro again in a one-on-one, because they had a good little back and forth during this tag team match. There was a little botch. Cesaro jumped off the turnbuckle. Big E, I think, was supposed to catch him sort of in like his big ending position, but he dropped him and they tried to sort of save it, go for a cover, come back up. It didn't look too bad, but it was a botch. But hey ho, you know, things like this happen. Doesn't really matter. But Woods then breaks up a double white noise. I hate that move. The double white noise, and I know Ben does as well. Ben in the earlier recording stressed to that. Again, you guys won't see that because the bleeding thing corrupted. But yeah, I don't like double white noise. Woods broke that up. The match continues. We then get, just out of nowhere, out of absolute nowhere, we get a Trouble in Paradise to Sheamus, and Kofi Kingston picks up the win. Right person picked up the pinfall, I think. You need to book Kofi Kingston out to be big. But I sort of sat there and I thought, oh, was that it? And that seems to be the story of quite a few things lately. I thought that with the Roman Reigns McIntyre match, and there was one other at Mania that I thought the same thing. I thought, oh, that's the end. I'm expecting a kick out, but no. I think there needs to be more near falls lately. I think the matches are just over like that. But yeah, the match was actually quite good, to be honest. But like I said, the ending was a bit out of nowhere. Pardon the Randy Orton pun. But yeah, Kofi Kingston celebrates. He brings his wife and his keys into the ring, and his eldest son is just hilarious. He's standing up on the ring. I'll tell you what, he'd give Kiss a run for their money. He's standing up on the ring. He's celebrating. He's got his tongue out. He's a funny little chap, he is. Funny little chap. Kofi Kingston has his championship up in the air. He basically just holds it up high on one of the turnbuckles. And that is the final view of Smackdown. Show ends with Kofi holding the belt up high. I think the problem was both the Raw and SmackDown, neither of them felt like Night After Mania shows. And I know that Raw actually got the lowest viewership for a Night After Mania show in history yesterday, or day before, sorry. So, yeah, to me, it just felt like normal Raw and normal SmackDown. Nothing special, nothing exciting. It was just to pass and fill time. for the shake-up next week. I think that is when we're going to have a good Raw and a good SmackDown. But for me, I'm actually going to change my Raw rating from the Raw review video we put up the other day. Please go and watch it. I put a low 3 stars, I think. I'm going to change it to a high 2 stars, and I'm going to rate this show a high 3 stars. I know the other 2 lads also agreed with me on that one. And again, like I said, the match of the week is the Hardys versus the Usos. So yeah, SmackDown Live is in the bag. High 3 stars for me. And I do think that's probably me being a bit generous, to be honest. It probably was a mid 3 stars, but because it's the night after Mania, I'm still sort of hyped because of Mania, although I'm very fatigued and burnt out. As you can tell, my bags under my eyes look awful. Yeah, that was SmackDown. Like I said, I am going to throw 205 Live in here as well, so I'm going to have a bit quick discussion about that. But I want to make a little side note. I'm not going to go into the 205 Live recordings. I'm just going to mention the Tony Nese versus Buddy Murphy rematch for the Cruiserweight Championship from WrestleMania. Wow. This match was superb. It was absolutely superb. If I counted this match in the SmackDown and Raw Best Match of the Week, it would be Best Match of the Week. But we're only counting Raw and SmackDown, so it's not. But honestly, guys, there was only 2 matches on the. There was only 2 matches on 205 Live. The other one was Humberto Guerrero, I think his name is. I can't remember who he faced again. I only watched the highlight package for it at 205 Live. But yeah, this match, Nese versus Murphy, was absolutely brilliant. Really, really good. Better than the WrestleMania match. And Nese took so much damage. Honestly, he took so much damage, but he won with 2 running Neses into the corner, pinning Murphy. But yeah, he was taking untold damage, and he slipped out. Slipped out of it all, and he still won the match. He's basically now become more slippery than your mum. So yeah. 205 Live, go and watch it. Also, another little thing is there was a little bit of a complaint about the new Universal Championship that Seth Rollins was daunting on Monday Night Raw. Now, there is a reason for it. It's not just a random change that they've had. Seth Rollins had the Universal Championship, but the strap was Velcro. It wasn't snaps like it usually is. Now, the reason for this, guys, is Seth Rollins is slimmer than Brock Lesnar. He's a lot slimmer than Brock Lesnar. And it fits around him a lot easier. Lesnar was allowed to have the snaps, or was able to have the snaps, because they fit perfectly. The snaps don't really work well when you've got Seth Rollins sort of wearing the championship, because it goes down to about his private parts. So he needs the Velcro to keep it up high. It's not a permanent thing, I don't think. I think when Seth eventually loses it, they'll go back to snaps again. But it's not a new thing, guys. They've had it for a while. I think one of the first people to have a Velcro was actually Randy Savage. Randy Savage had it absolutely years ago, all the way back in the 80s. So it isn't a new thing. When you have slimmer champions, they do have Velcro. So yeah, anyway, I will move on now to, if I can find my notes, NxT. It's the usual thing. The first NxT after a TakeOver. A lot of recaps. A hell of a lot of recaps. Quite painful. But good at the same time. There were some good parts in it. There were some quite good matches. But yeah, I need to stop saying We start off with Candice LeRae versus Aaliyah. Candice LeRae won with her finisher, which is basically like a lion salt. She nearly botched it. She sort of misplaced one of her feet when she went to spring off of the rope. But she did manage to salvage it, and she got the win on Aaliyah. Short but sweet. Okay match. It was an okay match. So after that, we had a recap of... to start off, before LeRae and Aaliyah had their match, there was basically a complete overhaul review of the whole of NXT TakeOver, just in sort of short clippets. But after that, we had an in-depth review, recap of Dream versus Riddle at TakeOver, followed by a sort of phone selfie promo of Dream at the WrestleMania night, where you had Buddy Murphy come along behind him just after he lost the Cruiserweight Championship. And Dream basically says to Murphy, there goes the man of There goes the face of the man that couldn't handle it. And yeah, Murphy wasn't too pleased. He was not too pleased. Later on in the night, it's also announced that next week on 205 Live, you will have the Velveteen Dream versus Buddy Murphy for the North American Championship. Oh, I am going to look forward to that one because both men are superb. I wasn't a huge fan of Dream when he started, but the man has won me over. Goes back to the Lars Sullivan thing. If you give me a reason to care, I will care. And now Velveteen Dream is one of the best things in NXT at the moment. It's a unique character. He's extremely underrated. And I think having the North American Championship is well deserved for his character. So that match is going to be awesome. So yeah, we then get yet another recap of the Tag Team Championship match. Again, this match was superb. I love the War Raiders. They are the best tag team in WWE, in my opinion, at the moment. In my opinion, at the moment. We obviously all these takeover matches. We did me and Ben did a review of them. Oh my God, I cannot talk. Alongside the WrestleMania show, please go and watch it. It was pretty good, and they also then plugged the Kushida signing. Both William Regal and Triple H were there with the contract, so Kushida could sign. They all shook his hand. Interesting to see him. Be pretty good. For those of you that haven't watched him, go watch him. He's very, very good. He's going to bring a lot to NXT. I'm hoping they don't do what they did with Hideo Itami, or Kenta as he was then known. Please don't. Pretty please. But yeah, next we had Riker defeating Danny Burch Riker of the Forgotten Sons defeating Danny Burch. He come out with Only Lorcan. Wow, this was basically just a build up the absolute destructive power of Riker. I'm a big fan of this guy. I was a big fan of him when he was in TNA as Gunner. Back in TNA, he was unfortunately using the F5. He's not going to be able to use that in NXT. Great match though. Burch sold it brilliantly. He did get a little bit of offense in here and there. Riker ended up winning with his finisher, which is basically like a rock bottom, but it's a sit-out version of the rock bottom. It was what Lance Cade used to do before Lance Cade sadly passed away. Yeah, Only Lorcan comes in after. He tries to basically get one up on the Forgotten Sons and Riker. The rest of the Forgotten Sons, basically, they team up on him, and Riker lays him out like a train. And they beat the pair of them down, and the Forgotten Sons stand tall. It was pretty good. Burch did also nearly get a near fall in the match with a quick small package, but Riker made him regret that instantly, and laid him out with his finisher. So next we had, wait for it, another recap video. Yep, we had the women's match of the Fatal 4-Way at TakeOver. Good match. I wasn't interested in it leading up to the match, but it won me over again. Really good match. Shayna Baszler cut a promo from after TakeOver. Basically, I think quite a few of these were from basically TakeOver at the end of the match, and they come out, they had a quick promo, but they were all aired tonight. She basically says that she's going to take out anyone that stands in the way. She's never, ever going to lose the championship. How many times have we heard that before? And how many times have they lost the championship? Every time. Yeah, okay. Short, sweet promo. Done. Next, another promo. Another recap video of Walter versus Pete Dunne. And Pete was so done. Oh, that was awful. Takeover match with their recap. Oh my God. A recap of their takeover match. It was a great match. Pete Dunne basically comes out, and again we have another promo which was filmed straight after his match at TakeOver, and Pete Dunne basically says there will be a rematch. Done. Finished. Done and dusted. I'm looking forward to that. I do want to see that rematch. I think that'll be an absolutely superb match. Let's hope it steals the show. And let's hope it's better than the original, because that is a big bar to set from that first match. We'll have to wait and see. And then we have yet another promo. Now this one wasn't really a promo. This was more of just cameras catching bickering backstage. Again, this was straight after the TakeOver match with the NXT Championship. Adam Cole comes out and he's basically complaining to the rest of the Undisputed Era, saying it's their fault. He's putting the blame on them, saying he had Gargano, even though he did not. And he then turns around, sees the cameras recording him. He goes up to the cameraman and says, "Stop recording." And that was it. That was the end of it. Great. Okay. Sort of done. It's also... oh, wait, no, I've already got into that. Sorry, I've put in my notes about the Buddy Murphy and Velveteen Dream match, but I've already said that. But this was when it was announced, this part of the show. And then we had the main event. It was Bartel and Eichner versus the Street Profits. This was a superb match. The Street Profits are great. And again, another one that's won me over. I didn't like them when they first come in, and their talent and their skill in the ring has completely won me over. I think they're a very, very good team. So, there wasn't really much spot-wise in the match. There was one great moonsault spot. He went up, Eichner went up to the turnbuckle and then went along to the top rope, and he did a moonsault off the top rope onto one of the Street Profits. Can't remember which one it was. For a near fall, it's pretty good, but the Street Profits got the win when they done like a blockbuster electric chair combination. I didn't know if that's their finisher or not. I thought their finisher was the Spinebuster into the Frog Splash. But anyway, they got the win there. Good match. Very, very good match. I would recommend going and watching it. But that was basically NXT. The Street Profits stood tall to end the show. They've set up a match for next week, which I'm very looking forward to. But like I said at the start, NXT after a takeover always is just full of recaps. It wasn't a great match, but it wasn't a great show. But the good thing was they put some good matches in there just to sort of hype you up. Some were short, some were sweet, but they done their job. I didn't feel laboured watching the show. I was still quite interested. I still found it quite enjoyable. So NXT for me, I will give it a rating of. Again, this might be me being a bit generous, but I'll give it a mid 3 stars. So, yeah, that was NXT and Smackdown Live. Again, I'm very sorry for a little bit of rambling, a little bit of bumbling with my words here and there. I'm very, very tired, guys. I had to get up very early to watch NXT. And I've had to come along and re-record Smackdown. Again, I'm talking about stuff that I've already talked about once. We'll try and make sure that this doesn't happen again. We will hopefully be doing... Smackdown and Raw shows each week. When one of us isn't here, the other one will do it, and vice versa. There will be a time in about a month's time where the other two actually go away, so I'll be doing Raw and Smackdown on my own. But again, like I said, that is about a month's time. Yeah, that's basically it for me. Please like and subscribe. We're trying this thing at the moment. We know it's new. We're really, really enjoying filming these videos. We're enjoying what we're doing. Again, I'd love to do this. I've wanted to do this for a long, long time. If you guys have any suggestions or any constructive criticism, please put it in the comments. We're not afraid to listen. We'd like to take maybe some ideas from you guys for videos in the future. We're also looking to hopefully in next week maybe film a group video where we will discuss our 10 worst videos, and then we'll record to put up for the following day our 10 best videos. I will be doing a series of top 17. I know every wrestling channel has a series of top 10, and 17 is my lucky number, so I'm going to change it up a bit and I'm going to add 7 more for you. Again, this is all going to be in the coming weeks. This channel is still in infancy. We've not even been around a week yet. So, please bear with us. It is going to take time. It's been a little bit stressful as well, trying to get everything ready. But we will do so when we can. So anyway, I'm going to leave it there because, again, I think I'm rambling again. But yeah, so take care, stay safe, like and subscribe. And I'll see you guys soon.